Yep.
Did you stretch?
I did stretch.
Okay, good for you.
Actually, got a little workout.
All right, Mark, can they hear us? They can hear us.
Are we live?
We are live. We are back with episode 43 as I fumble through my notes here. With episode 43, how many is that? 43.
3.
We are back with episode 43 of the Metal Roundtable. I am Metal Rob, and with me as always is the great
Garcus John.
And we have a very special guest today that I will introduce first, and then we'll do shout-outs.
Okay.
So we're going to have to be on our best behavior. Do you know why?
Yes, I do, but you explain the reason.
We have a principal in the house today, kids.
Oh.
So when I was in junior high, I think I've told you this, I had a desk in the principal's office. I really did. So
And look at you now.
So we'll get to the topic here in a couple of minutes, but as I adjust everything in the studio here. So you've got some shout-outs, I think.
I do have some shout-outs.
Let's hear it.
One pretty serious one, and I don't like, we've had that episode a while back where...
Stand by.
Okay.
We've forgotten something very important.
What's that?
What the hell is on your shirt? Okay.
Well, what does it look like?
Okay, I see. Hang on. All right. For those of you who are just seeing this for the first time, the Carcass always wears a shirt with not always. Sometimes he wears a Kiss shirt or something easy.
But somebody couldn't read it because...
Yeah, somebody that shall remain nameless. I think... Oh, anyway, he wears shirts that you can't read the logo and tries to stump me because mine are always crisp and clean like Kiss or Metal Church. Today I'm wearing the No Life Till Metal. Thank you very much. We're going to give away a record in a minute from those guys.
So go ahead, take your best shot.
What do you think that says?
Saw them on Saturday. They were part of the package that opened with Vader and
okay.
super Vader, Abysmal Dawn, Hideous Divinity from Italy, and Vitriol, and then they had two local bands, Empty Shell and Frozen Soul, which is just crushing. And I can't believe they're a new band. They're not even a year old, I don't think. But thanks, shout out to Steven from Vitriol for hooking me up, and with the vitriolic shirt.
Nice.
Yeah, I dug it. They're a great band too.
I'm struggling with my microphone. I'm sorry. I was being distracting. Go ahead.
You were being distracting.
Keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't normally read. I was going to say too, the guys from Hideous Divinity were so overwhelmingly good. I'd never even heard of them and didn't know where they were from. They looked like they were not a typical American band, however, and I was right. They're from Rome, Italy, and they've put out several records, and they were absolutely blistering. And you're gonna adjust your mic the whole. Yeah, but anyway, but Enrico Di Lorenzo, who's the lead singer and kind of the mastermind of the band, was working the merch table. Super, very gracious, very nice guy, and so. But anyway. Support them. They're really, really awesome. We talked a little bit about how much it takes, what kind of an effort it takes just to get on the road. But but coming from Europe to come here,
right?
And Vader was absolutely devastating. And they did 18 songs, couple of cover tunes, including Judas Priest Steeler. It was pretty amazing.
Cool. What was the venue? Ridgely Room, right?
No, Gas Monkey.
Oh, okay.
Gas Monkey Live, or the bar and grill. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It probably should have been in the live because it was so packed.
Nice.
You
ran into the great Billy Frazier.
I did. I did hang out with him in his tie-dyed Misfits shirt. He must have taken a.
I love that guy.
He must have taken the cue from my giant blanket that I brought last episode.
Yes.
But yeah, it was good to hang out with him and saw some other folks that I hadn't seen in a while. It was a good time. Was had by all. Vader was just totally punishing, just amazing. And I can't believe that they've been around for 30-plus years, and I've never seen them do a headline tour.
John likes the kind of music where it sounds like you're starting a chainsaw.
Lots of gurgling and gargling.
But we love it. We love him. So please, go ahead. You're doing great.
Okay. Well, and my shout-out, and like I said, not to bring down the room, but this guy is an amazing person. Hannes Bojax, he's the the guitarist for a band called Sixes.
Mhm.
They just got off a European tour. They toured through Texas not too long ago. In fact, they're friends of Forebode. We keep going back to that. They're like our go-to. When we expand the studio and we have an actual house band, it'll have to be Forebode, at least initially.
I 100% agree.
But I just saw him Saturday. In fact, I invited him to the show. I said, "You want to go with me to the show?" It was he and his wife were having a baby shower. They're a few months away from their first child. She's from here. He's from he's from Europe. But they're living in California because of the band stuff. But anyway, crazy. I shook his hand, gave him a hug, and said good luck. And he said, "Yeah, I kind of don't feel great. I got a little bit of a headache. I don't think I'll be going tonight." And and besides, they were leaving the next day. And 2 hours later, he was in the hospital in a medically induced coma. So we're hoping for the best. He's still hanging in there.
What happened to him?
He had an aneurysm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and so once again, I mean, not to get all philosophical and sappy or whatever, but man, enjoy it while you can.
Yeah, no kidding.
Life is pretty cruel and pretty short sometimes, but Tara, to her credit, has stayed positive. Her family is here to support her, and shout out to them for really coming, loading both barrels and keeping things under wraps and supporting her in this. So
if there ends up being a fundraiser or something, we'll put that up on the page.
But an outstanding guy, great musician, and it's just it's hard to see somebody in front of you like we're doing now, and then a couple hours later they're just not, they're incapacitated to some. But so anyway, like I said, don't mean to drag the room down, but shout out to Hannes, stay strong, my brother, and Tara and her family.
Yeah,
keep it going.
Yeah,
we'll hope for the best. Anyway, that's it. That's all the shout outs I got.
Okay.
Oh, and shout out to Jay Fuchs. Please stay out of Facebook jail, would you? Jay Fuchs from Sound of White Noise.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's a great distro local guy.
Yeah.
And
do we need to go visit him in Facebook jail? Do you visit people in Facebook jail? I don't know.
I don't know.
Do you take them food?
I think Facebook is taking themselves a little seriously these days, but because I see some of the stuff they allow, and then some of the stuff that people get bounced for. I don't know.
Who knows? Yeah, another buddy of mine got bounced too.
They must check their voting record or something. But I digress. Go ahead.
Yes. I just had the one. I just wanted to shout out Scott Waters at No Life Till Metal Records that sent us this. We gave away the Banshee CD last week. So this is our official this week. Be the first person or any person to call. 877-337-5844. Talk to Monkey Butt over there, and we'll hook you up with a record of your choice. We've got Circle of Silence from No Life Till Metal. We've got Banshee from No Life Till Metal. I mastered both of those.
This makes me laugh. I'm sorry.
We've got Tango Down from Brutal Planet Records.
Here we are talking about Vader, and then we have
Romeo Riot from Brutal Planet Records. So take your choice of those four. Give us a call, 877-337-5844. The great Mark will take your details, and we'll send you a record for free. How about that? For free. So thanks to those guys for sending us some goodies.
What was that number again? I'm going to call in. Can I do that?
Well, I can just hand it to you right now.
Oh.
Ding dong.
I don't have to call in?
No.
Oh.
So let's get to the point here, okay? Because we're off task, and the classroom management skills over here are about to kick in.
We don't want to wind up in the principal's office.
We do not want to wind up in the principal's office, so let's get this kicked off. So I'll tell you the story of how I met my friend, Carol. I work for a school district, and that's just all we need to know about that. And part of my job is I travel around visiting campuses for different things and fixing stuff and whatever. So anyway, I roll into her office one day. It's been a while back. I don't remember it. And I think what caught my eye was maybe that 3D Beatles poster or something. And so we got to talking about music and records and whatnot.
That's shocking.
I know, isn't that crazy?
You spoke to somebody about music?
Right. So the next thing I know, we've had this brilliant conversation about some really cool classic rock stuff. And do we want to do the which story do you want to tell first?
Well, you lead me into whatever you want me to tell.
Okay, I'll tell you the story that really got me hooked, or I'll let you tell the story. But we get to talking, And we get to talking about Pink Floyd records and, you know, Jimi Hendrix and whatever, Janis Joplin, I don't remember what all. And we get to talking about Queen. And so she starts telling me this Queen story, and I can't, yeah. So trust me, it's totally fine.
Production value.
It's production value. It's
if
totally
you've seen some
fine.
of the earlier episodes,
Yeah.
that's
Sorry
Yeah.
about that.
No. I will be checking my phone and checking Facebook. It's yeah. So she starts telling me this story about Queen, but back us up from there because you worked at Peaches, and you remember Peaches Records.
oh yeah.
Yeah, so people our age and older will remember Peaches Records. So, yeah, take it.
Right. So I was the ticket manager of Peaches Records and Tapes in St. Louis, Missouri. And the reason I was there is because I fell in love and with a man from St. Louis and moved there and got married. And I had my teaching degree, but wasn't certified to teach in Missouri. So I thought, well, I think I'll do something fun, and got hired at Peaches. And being the ticket manager, got first choice at the best tickets that we sold to the concerts.
Winner.
Right?
Lots of perks.
Yes.
So the only people who got better tickets were the dignitaries, the disc jockeys, the city people who were interested. So anyway, one time Queen happened to come through. There were a lot of fabulous bands that came through, and we went to see a lot of them. But and so they would all come to the Checker Dome. It was called the Purina Checker Dome in St. Louis, Missouri.
I've actually been there,
Have
believe
you
it or not.
really?
Yes, ma'am.
Hopefully it doesn't exist anymore. It was in pretty bad
No, it was
shape.
pretty dilapidated. In fact, I saw Head
was.
East in Kansas there.
Yeah.
So anyway, but go ahead.
Right.
I'm very
Right.
familiar with that barn, and it literally was more like a barn,
More like a barn.
than a venue.
I used to look around when we'd sit there and think, now, if this place catches on fire, which exit am I going to get out first?
Yes. I've done that.
So anyway, we got to go see Queen, and we were on the 13th row. It was November of 1978, and sitting back on the 13th row, right smack dab in the middle, and they were so fantastic. It was just incredible. The bad thing is that people didn't have cell phones back in those days, so we weren't snapping selfies and taking a lot of pictures. But Rob here has identified my two mystery photographs, the only two I have of all the concerts we went to, as being Queen.
That's
so
right.
those were great.
From that show.
From that show.
Do you know how we can prove that she was on the 13th row in section B, seat 5 for Queen?
Because she actually has a ticket stub.
Because
have
there's
my
the
ticket
ticket stub.
You know, I might remind you that at the Vader show on Saturday, they actually offered you a ticket stub.
Nice.
Oh, they don't
No-
do that anymore.
No, and it was so insanely rare that I said, of course I'll take a ticket stub because
Yeah.
I hang them on the wall.
Yes. Now, this is not the best part of the story, though.
No, this is not the best part of the story. But I was telling Rob before about my ticket stub that it's not worth anything on eBay, but it's really worth about $1 million
Yeah.
to me. So
Of course.
And this
I
and this is
take
the
really
News
good
of the
care of
World
it.
tour. So this
Right?
is 78, right?
78.
Yeah,
Okay.
November of 78.
November of 78. It was right around Thanksgiving time. So we're all sitting there, and they start the show, and things are going great. And all of a sudden, the sound system starts crackling out. And it crackles in the middle of a song, and they keep playing, and it comes back on, and then it crackles out, and then it comes back on. And you could tell that they were getting frustrated. And all of a sudden, it just went crackle, 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 and nothing. And
Oh,
so
man.
Freddie Mercury stands up on the stage and to the whole auditorium says, I'm just going to sing. Don't worry, guys. We're going to keep this concert going while they work on the sound. And he went and sat on the edge of the stage and sang, and his voice filled that entire arena. It was
That is so awesome.
phenomenal. You could have heard a pin drop in there. People's chins were in their laps because he had such a phenomenal voice
Mm-hmm.
and 4-octave voice, and it literally carried that whole place. And I would have killed now to have a cell phone and to have been able to video it, but I've got the memories up here of it.
Yeah.
Just really awesome. Best concert I think I've ever been to in my life, which is why I keep my tickets still.
And we
Right.
might have to have another. We might have to have an episode where we talk about our top 3, 5. Well, my top would be like 3 pages of concerts, but
right.
because that's what I do. I'm a list person, but
Yeah,
yeah, I remember seeing Queen the year prior,
really.
because in November of '78 I was entering a training center to become a missionary for my church. So that's interesting. But man, I can just hear the power and the energy. I didn't think they were that heavy, but Queen was really, really melodic, but they were really heavy live and loud.
Right.
Yeah.
And when everybody was playing all the, guitars and the drums and all that, it was great, but when that was gone and all you could hear was Freddie's voice,
Yeah.
it became just so powerful
That's
and so
just-
phenomenal.
That's just a rock and roll religious experience is what that
Yeah,
is. Do you have
Absolutely.
any idea what he sang to you a cappella? Do you remember at all?
I don't right now. It's been, 40,
Yeah.
42 years.
Right,
There's been a lot of distance between
Sure.
that concert.
I
I wish that I had a set list of what they played.
I have Googled and after you told me this,
Uh-huh.
I have searched and searched and searched for video or the video is just going to be non-existent. You
Mm-mm.
just didn't do
Mm-mm.
it. For a set list and now watch, he'll pull it up.
But even then, I think he would have deviated from what their set list was.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and the only thing I did find was what I thought was the correct date
Hmm.
on one of their tour itineraries. And I was like,
Yeah.
man, this is so great. So I did try to find some more information because I wanted to know if anybody else had told the story about him
Yeah.
singing like that.
Well,
'Cause I don't,
my ex-husband does.
okay.
He's my ex-husband.
right,
now.
right. And but that's an awesome story, and I've loved it, and that's what got us to talking about music,
Right.
and that was what spawned the idea of coming on the show. And then you dropped this bombshell on me. So I don't know what you know about this, good sir. Not this water bottle.
No, I was going to
so-
say I
yeah,
found the
sorry.
set list, but
Oh, let's hear it.
We Will Rock You, the fast version, which I really like. Let Me Entertain You, Somebody to Love, You Can't Beat Them, Death on Two Legs, I really like that. Killer Queen, Bicycle Race, I'm in Love with My Car, Get Down, Make Love, You're My Best Friend, Now I'm Here, Spread Your Wings, and then it says acoustic, which was probably the break.
Well, this picture shows Brian May playing an acoustic guitar.
Okay, well, it says Dreamer's Ball, Love of My Life, and I can hear him actually singing that a cappella.
Right.
39, It's Late, Brighton Rock, and they were like 3 songs. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, he probably sang about 3 songs
Okay.
before they got the sound back up.
Because there's a gap in the list, and it goes back to It's Late, Brighton Rock, which I imagine they had to have electric guitars and drums.
Right.
Fat Bottom Girls, Keep Yourself Alive, Bohemian Rhapsody, and Tie Your Mother Down. Man,
I can't believe you found that.
that is a killer set
Well,
list.
and he's a magician like that. I'll look for something for a week, and it's right here. His Googler works
Yeah.
better than
That-
mine, but
Man, that's amazing. In fact, of all the vocalists in that era, I mean, and there was a bunch of them. I mean, Roger Daltrey and Ian Gillan, and you could name a bunch of them, but he was probably one of the few that could actually do that, fill an arena
right.
with sound.
Oh yeah, I can just imagine. I never saw Queen. I got to know about Queen probably around 80, whenever the game came out. They had
Yeah.
Another One Bites the Dust.
Yep.
I think that was 80. Is when I got into Queen, so I didn't have much knowledge of them before that. Of course, I was 10, so
Well, I
Uh,
was in love with Freddie Mercury, not realizing that Freddie would never reciprocate.
right, yeah,
at the
Yeah.
time, because things like that weren't really talked about very
Right.
much back then.
yes, he would have thwarted your
My advances.
advances.
right.
Yes, exactly. Yes, and I'm so sorry because I think it could have been beautiful between you guys, and maybe we could have had him in the studio. But,
Yeah.
but that's an awesome story. But the thing that I realized about this lady as this is a rock and roll lady right here, man.
Okay.
I
You
was
betcha.
you walk past these people all day at work, and then she drops this bombshell on me. So 50 years ago last year, do you know what happened over in Louisville at the former Texas Motor Speedway?
That would be the Texas International Pop Fest.
That is correct. Now raise your hand if on that day in over that, what was it, Labor Day weekend?
Labor Day weekend.
Mhm.
Labor Day weekend in 1969. Raise your hand if you were at the Texas International Pop Festival. Mark, did you go to the Texas International Pop Festival? How old were you in 69? 3.
Well, I was 10.
I was not yet here.
I was 10.
I
so-
might have been, what year? May? No, I wasn't on the way yet.
No,
September.
Not
You weren't
quite
even
yet. Yeah.
Well, we won't go there. Yes. Yeah.
So now I don't want to spoil any of the story because this is great. Let's talk about who was on the bill. So on the bill, you went on Monday,
We
correct?
went on Monday.
Now but you can't tell the story about why you had to go on Monday, right? Are we skipping that?
Oh no, we can
Okay. So
tell that.
okay. So Monday, September 1st. Well, hang on. Let's back up a little bit.
Well,
so,
and I was going to ask too, because I got so intrigued by this because, I mean, just from the artistic standpoint, because I love the old psychedelic poster thing. But some of the posters show Led Zeppelin being on the bill. Did they actually play? And then some of them show Sly and the Family Stone and
I don't know if Zeppelin played or not. It says they did. So here's the lineup. So Saturday, August 30th, 1969. Grand Funk Railroad, Canned Heat, Chicago Transit Authority, which became Chicago,
Mhm.
James Cotton Blues Band, I don't know that, Janis Joplin. My mother was in her class at Thomas Jefferson High School in Port Arthur.
Wow.
That's true
Yep.
story.
That's one I never got to go see.
B.B. King, Herbie Mann, Rotary Connection, Sam and Dave. Pretty solid little lineup.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to Sunday. Grand Funk again, Chicago again, James Cotton Blues Band, Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. I'd never heard of that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I'm familiar with them
Fabulous.
too.
Mhm.
Okay. The Incredible String Band, B.B. King, Led Zeppelin, announced as the Led Zeppelin, Herbie Mann, Sam and Dave, and Santana. Pretty solid little lineup.
Yep.
And then our distinguished guest on Monday was there for the great Grand Funk Railroad, Johnny Winter, who I think you also professed love for earlier to me off air. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And his brother and Kurt. Either one. I'd be
Okay.
happy with.
Boy,
All right.
there's a whole different. Never mind. I'll just leave it alone. I'll leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Delaney and Bonnie and Friends, B.B. King, Naz. I'm not familiar with that at all. Sly and the Family Stone, I know about that. Spirit, which would have been cool. Sweetwater, 10 Years After, and Tony Joe White. So, I want the whole shebang.
The whole story.
I want the whole story.
When September of 1669, I was 14 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a 20-year-old sister-in-law, so you can imagine the combination.
Yeah.
And she came up to me the day before, and she said, I just heard about this festival, and it's like Woodstock. Of course, Woodstock had been held 2 weeks before,
Mm-hmm.
and the news of Woodstock had already flooded the world. So we all knew that there had been this concert where lots of people had gone in bell bottoms and skinny dipping and all that stuff. And
Oh,
so
no.
she said,
Not skinny dipping.
so my
What?
sister-in-law said, they're having a second Woodstock, and it's right here in the Dallas area.
Right.
And she said, let's go. And I said, okay.
Sure.
I
Wow.
wasn't-
That
I
didn't
wasn't-
sound like any hesitation there,
Right.
Carol.
And I wasn't driving. She had the keys and the wheel. So the next day we hop in the car and we head off
Oh.
to Louisville, not too far away.
Okay, now hang on.
Uh-huh. There was
I
skinny dipping.
show on record on Wikipedia that the festival site was the campground on Louisville Lake where hippie attendees skinny dipped and bathed. So You
Uh-oh.
got some splaining to do.
Not us. We didn't do that.
Sorry,
I was too young.
Go ahead.
So we went to the festival and walked in. It was very loosely monitored and constructed. So you just kind of went up to an area like a booth and bought your ticket, and then it was all dirt. You walked on in, somebody took your ticket. And we walk into this absolute sea of hippies, long-haired guys, girls with headbands and flowers in their hair, and lots of fringe and bell bottoms.
And now you were against all that. You were totally against.
I wouldn't say I was against it. I just
Oh.
hadn't really been exposed very much as a young girl growing up in Dallas.
So are you going to tell us that you might have been a hippie?
Well, not yet.
Okay.
Not at that
Oh,
point.
no.
Okay.
That was a gradual.
Here goes. There
Okay.
goes.
Gradual.
Here goes.
thing.
This is the launching pad.
This was the launching pad of those days. So we walk in, and there were like tents and things set up where people were vending, and we walked by as we're heading to the main stage. There were actually a couple of different stages with different music going on, but the headliners were all on the big stage, and they weren't playing yet. So we're walking along, and this hippie comes up to me, and he was obviously on something. I didn't know what, but I knew that he wasn't quite in his right mind, and grabbed me and was trying to sell me birth control insurance. And I kept saying, but I don't need that. And
man.
he's like, but you will someday. And I was like, I don't think so. trying to get away from him. So it was one encounter after another with people like this along the way. And we decided that we needed to get up to the stage fast because there were all these hippies trying to lay hands on us.
Right. What time of day were you coming in?
We probably got there at, it was in the heat of the day, maybe 2:00 in the afternoon.
Okay.
Because the concert started at 4. The main
Okay.
the main headliners started at 4.
Okay.
The
Perfect.
other stage had music playing all day long.
Okay.
So it's hot, and we're wearing our shorts and our t-shirts, whatever. And we see up by the stage these hay bales kind of in a ring around the front stage. And some people had brought blankets, some people had lawn chairs. We had nothing because we didn't know what it was going to be like. So we said, let's go sit up and lean up against these hay bales and watch the concert. That gives us something to lean against as we're sitting in the dirt.
Right.
So we go up there and we're sitting there, and come to find out, probably about midway into the time that we stayed, some people came up to us and said, can we please see your press passes? And we said, what's that? Turns out we were in the press box. It was hay bales.
Oh, man.
So they made us leave, and we had to sit on the other side of the hay bales and not have anything to lean against at that point. But Grand Funk Railroad opened every day. And it was mesmerizing because when we were still inside the hay bales, we were like maybe 6 feet from them.
Right.
Maybe a little bit more than that, but it was not very far. Probably from here to the wall. And we were that close to all these people who played. And they were great. We knew about Grand Funk. I mean, we had listened to their songs and stuff. But after Grand Funk comes Johnny Winter.
And she fell in love.
And he had a hat on and this long white hair.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, sold. As soon as he started playing that guitar, I was like, you have my heart forever.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Hook, line, and sinker. It was just a magical experience being out there. And it was truly the days of what we used to call peace, love, and dove.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody loved everybody. We all were getting along. It was happy. Everybody smiling, laughing, listening to music.
That's awesome.
It was just great. So we got to see Johnny Winter, and then we got to see Bonnie and Delaney.
Mm-hmm.
And I know your list says Naz. I honestly don't remember them. but Sly and the Family Stone
Yeah.
blew us out of the water. They were the best show. They really put on a show for
That's
people.
awesome.
I became huge fans after that of
Right.
them. And then we had to leave then because my dad wanted me to come home.
Oh, the old curfew.
Oh,
'Cause I was
yeah.
only 14 and it was
So-
getting dark. We had to be home at dark.
So you missed Spirit,
I did.
Sweetwater, 10 years after. I don't know anything about Sweetwater.
I don't either. I would have killed to see 10 years after.
Yeah,
That was
10
Alvin
years
Lee.
after. And
Boy.
then Tony Joe White. I
Yeah,
don't know
Tony
who
Joe.
that is.
Oh, yeah. He was like a Cajun. He had a growling voice and he'd sing real. He was cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Naz
Joe
was
White.
the first rendition of Todd Rundgren.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh,
there you
okay.
go.
That was his first
There you
band.
go.
Oh, okay. Now, I'm reading on this Wikipedia article that there are high quality bootlegs of this show.
And
So
I might be in it.
I'm gonna see if I can.
Wow.
can find some of this audio, and if I do, I'll bring it to
Yeah.
you. But
well,
yeah,
and if there's video, just look for the hay bales.
yeah. Look for the 14-year-old with the birth
look
control
for the-
insurance.
and no press pass.
No progress. Yeah.
That reminds me of Vaughan when I went there. Nobody was getting close to the stage, and of course, in the States, you get as close to the stage as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nobody there, and nobody stopping me, so I just walked right up there, and I had my camera in hand, and this nice, gigantic German fellow said, "Where's your pass?" in German, and I said, "Nein, ich sprechen Sie Deutsch," and he said, "Where is your pass?" and I said, "Well, I have my camera." He says, "Not good enough." So they made me move, but for the same reason,
Yeah.
nobody stopped us, so
Right.
Right.
we just went up there. But interesting, boy, I'd sure like to hear. I love Grand Funk Railroad. They were
it was good.
one of the first albums I ever bought was Shining On, and then I worked my way backwards, and man, I would have.
It's
I would
funny
love to hear
because
the audio.
they were always there. I mean, it was always a band that you knew of and heard of, but they never, I don't think, came to the same prominence as some of the other bands did, and they were good. I mean, they
Yeah.
should have.
Well,
I don't know why.
They had management issues, and I
Oh.
think we've kind of semi-discussed this. I mean, they got off a tour. They'd sold nearly 80 million records
Yeah.
and were penniless. They were pawning their equipment just to get a train ticket back to Michigan.
yeah.
And it was because that they had been robbed by basically their management
Yeah.
company,
Right.
is my understanding, and very unfortunate. And that's when, I mean, Frank Zappa took him under their wing, and Todd Rundgren, to name a person, said, "We need to get you a gold record so you can get back in black,
Mhm.
literally financially." And henceforth, they put out a gold album called "We're an American Band"
Hmm.
on yellow vinyl, and or some of them are not quite as yellow, but anyway.
Right.
But anyway, and that's how they sprung back into prominence, was with that
Mhm.
record, but with the help of Frank Zappa and Todd Rundgren.
So their guitar player now, I think I've told you this, is a guy named Bruce Kulick, who we know from being in Kiss, and
mhm.
Blackjack.
Right.
But I know him because of Kiss. And my good buddy Chris is taking online guitar lessons from Bruce. And so they got to know each other well enough for Chris to ask the question, hey, they were playing at the Wildflower Festival this past year, this past May, and he was able to casually ask Bruce, hey, would there be any way that we could just shake Don Brewer's hand? Because his brother is older and is a huge Don Brewer Grand Funk fan. And Bruce gave him the full treatment. Took him back and let him meet Don Brewer, and
That's so cool.
they got to see the
Yeah.
show, and it was just, it's so cool when I love that these guys are still in. We've had discussions about, is it still Grand Funk if it's only one guy? Is it this band if it's only one guy? But you know what? In a situation like that where it's a classic rock band, and you get guys like Bruce Kulick
To fill in for Mark Farner.
to fill in for
that'll
Mark
probably
Farner.
work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that he's out there doing it, you
Mhm.
know. So that's cool. And my only Grand Funk tie, because that was before my time, is the one reel tape that I have that's commercially produced is Grand Funk Live.
Really?
I have I have one reel to reel tape,
Which
and
is on my lengthy list of great live albums.
yeah. And so That's my, and I've seen them at Wildflower a few years before this past time they were there. I
But to
saw
your
'em.
point, it may not be the same.
I think it was them. I may be confusing them with
No,
the
no,
Guess Who.
no. I think it was Grand Funk there. Or this entity of Grand Funk.
Mhm.
But the thing about it is you can go listen to the records and that's great, but the live experience is what's so mind blowing. I mean,
Right.
I could have listened to the Vader CDs at home and just said, I'll save my money.
Right.
But seeing them live and play a full set, and it just nothing compares to the live version of
Right.
a band in whatever form or format they are.
Right.
I just think that lends to this. I mean, she has memories of this great event because she was there and experienced it. She didn't get that from just listening to a record.
Right. Well,
that caused her to go see these things.
right. And our friend that did not make it today, we had plans to have another friend of ours, Mel Caruth, here today. And Mel's been under the weather, so we want to give Mel a good shout out. And
Sure.
hope you get feeling, brother. I'll say that right into the camera.
Yep. Feel better, man.
Feel better. But his voice was not up to snuff, and he's still a little weak from his illness that he can't shake. But he has the program from the Texas International Pop Festival.
Oh, I would
he
kill for that.
he was there, so we were going to have a round table of,
Wow.
we were basically just going to push our chairs back and say, all right, go, tell us everything, But it would be cool to see his program, and one day we'll get him up here on another episode, because when we do a Doors episode, if we ever do, you've never met a Doors fan until you've
This guy's-
met Mr. Mojo, Mel Carew.
He's the
Holy
Lizard King
ca-
for sure.
Holy cow, man. And so when they came through a few years ago, obviously with Ian
Yeah.
Asbury on vocals,
Mhm.
but the other two guys, they played at the Bronco Bowl, and Mel put on every pass of any kind that he had, because he was connected with radio and stuff like that. He put on everything, and he waltzed through 2 or 3 layers of security and walked right back to there. And I'll let him tell the story, but he was able to gain access to his heroes and get some stuff signed, and he's
Wow.
got a really good story about
Wow.
that. So if we do the Doors, we got to get Mel up here.
Yeah, the interesting thing about that is and of course, we're the metal roundtable, but all that stuff was the precursor.
Right.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. My parents thought Grand Funk, Deep Purple, and Aerosmith were heavy metal.
Right.
And Led Zeppelin, not to mention,
We-
whatever.
We keep it all things hard rock and heavy metal.
But it's kind of like the roots.
That's
I mean,
right.
it started somewhere, and even some of, like, for example, the new wave of British heavy metal stuff is basically, it's rock and roll, but it's just speeded up just a tad.
Just a tad, yeah.
And a little more operatic, like Freddie Mercury. I mean, like I said, I couldn't believe how I had heard the records, and some of the early stuff is really progressive and powerful, but nothing like the live show.
No.
I mean, it was stunning.
Yeah, well, and their live records that are out there, Rainbow 74, have you heard that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It is unbelievable. And then that thing, I think there is a full concert video of the tour that you saw,
Oh my gosh.
because I recognize the lights, and I can't remember what it's called, but they open with that fast version of
Yeah.
We Will Rock You.
Is that live Montreal? I think it's on a Blu-ray.
I think you might be right.
I think you can actually get it on Blu-ray, but it's that set list.
Yeah.
There's a full concert video of this tour.
Oh, I'll have to see if I
Yeah,
can.
I'll
not,
see if I
but
can.
not with Freddie sitting on the edge of the
Not on
stage
the edge
singing
of the stage.
acapella. Now that
Right. I'll
that
see if
would
I
be a
can't
find.
hunt that up for you. But now, in a past episode, John and I have told our first concert experiences. So we talked about that before we came on, and I think you had a story that you wanted to tell about your first
I
concert.
can.
Yeah,
I
let's
can.
Let's hear
let's
it.
do it.
So I'm going to just back up a little bit because this also involves my sister-in-law, and we were actually a little bit younger even for this one. She, when we first met, introduced me to the music of Aretha Franklin, and that led into our first concert together, who was James Brown in 1968
Oh my gosh!
in the Dallas
I love James
Convention
Brown.
Center.
At
Well,
where was
Dallas Convention Center,
Okay, okay.
1968. I was 13 years old for this one, and she was 18, maybe 19. So we go down there to this, and she was like, "Come on, we're going to go see James Brown." I didn't really know who James Brown was. I was like, "Okay." So
The greatness.
we go there,
The
and
Godfather of Soul.
the Godfather of Soul. I know you would have thought that I would have known who he was, right? Especially because of another reason, but we'll go into that another time. So we go, and literally all I could hear was him screaming. I couldn't tell what he was singing. I couldn't tell what was going on.
Sounds like some of our shows.
Yeah, it does.
There was one part especially where everybody was singing and clapping, and we were getting into it. And I have to kind of back up also to say that we were the only 2 white people in this concert. So it didn't bother us, but obviously it was a different experience. So everybody's singing. I'm singing along, didn't know what I was singing. So I turned to this girl next to me, a young girl, and I said, "What are we singing?" As I'm clapping and singing. She goes, "I'm Black and I'm proud." And I went, "Okay."
Well,
Just had to kind of close my mouth at that point.
well, you're at least proud.
You're
though.
proud, I mean,
Yeah.
I was
you know.
proud, but I
Proud of all the new friends
I-
you've made at the James
That's
Brown
right.
concert. I
didn't
mean,
finish
yeah.
singing that song.
And I guess you didn't wear hot pants. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
That's
not
awesome.
at that age.
Yeah, it was,
Oh, my
it was a
gosh.
different day and time back then. So this would have been what, 76, 77?
68.
68.
68?
68.
Welcome to the show, John.
Wow, that dude, yeah, that.
1968. And
Oh, that's right. It would have been before the. Okay, I gotcha.
yeah. And then on our way home, we drove home and we ran out of gas.
Oh, boy.
Because neither of us thought far enough ahead to think, gosh, you need to get gas when you're going to drive all the way down to the convention center and back.
That's awesome. That's a great story. I lost it just like that.
Do we have anybody that called in for the record? Anybody have any questions?
Hey, did our caller call in?
Nobody?
Nobody.
Oh, then I'm
They
calling
probably-
in.
They probably can't get past the receptionist down there. Well, that does it for episode 43 of the Metal Roundtable. I want to say thank you so much to my friend Carol for coming up. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
That-
It's been fun.
That was awesome. And you know what? Rob said you were a little nervous. I think you sounded super
You did,
pro.
You were fantastic.
Yeah.
It's certainly better than our idiot
I
selves.
was glad to hear someone else chiming in instead of us.
Well, we always appreciate good stories. The experience of rock and roll and heavy metal that we like and stuff like that. It just brings people together, and it doesn't matter what age or it doesn't matter what demographic. Everybody loves music, and so I was so glad to run into you that day and get to talking. And this is something that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm glad that it worked out to be in the nice studio here.
Right. It's,
You know,
it's a wonderful
instead of
place.
in my
Standing in your
in my room
music
looking
lair.
into a laptop.
Yeah,
So this
much
is
better.
Yeah, but thank you so much for coming. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it very much. And now we always sign off, and this is going to be a little weird. We're going to look right into that camera. We're going to do devil horns. Okay. Now this is not hook 'em horns, and we're going to say
If she wants to say hook 'em horns, she can just say
you
hook
can
'em
say
horns.
whatever you want.
Which way? This way? or
This way,
This
and
way?
we're going to say metal will prevail. Are you ready?
All right.
And with that,
Metal will prevail.
Yes. We'll see you.